Hello, friends. I recently started reading The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This is the revenge tale of all revenge tales. I am very familiar with the story, even though I've never read the book before. The 2002 version of The Count of Monte Cristo movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. The movie just captures the time period so well. So, this is the year when I finally decided to actually read the book. I have been reading this with a book club that I joined on Substack, and it's hosted by Lily, and her Substack is called The Commonplace Circle. I love her mission, which is to bring readers together who maybe didn't have the most literature forward education, but who always have desired to dive into books deeply and thoughtfully. She created this incredible curriculum called the Grand Tour, which is a very holistic, well rounded curriculum around this book. And when I say curriculum, I'm not talking like an intense syllabus where there's like homework and craziness, but it gives you a very fleshed out experience of the novel because we're also looking at art that was created contemporarily with the Count of Monte Cristo. We're also listening to music that would have been created and shared around the same time by Hector Berlioz. And so I'm really enjoying it. Like, if you like art and music and literature, I highly recommend you check Lily's Substack out. I will link it in the description below. I'm enjoying my time so far. So I'm going to do a little reading vlog today. I just wanted to put some time down with these incredible pages and see where it takes me. The Count of Monte Cristo follows Edmond Dantes, who is a young, naive, idealistic young man who is on the threshold of a better life. He grew up poor, but he has worked his way up to first mate on a ship. After his captain dies, it is hinted that he's going to become the next captain of this ship. And unfortunately, there is a very jealous sailor who begins manipulating circumstances around Edmond Dantes's life that land him in a world of suffering, grief, and ultimate pain. The story then follows Dantes's descent into this pain and darkness and the revenge that he hopes to enact upon his enemies. So I have brewed myself a cup of tea. I'm going to enjoy the morning sunshine and just read until I feel ready to part ways with this novel. Right now, I'm on page 32, which is chapter 3. I will say, as far as classics go, this is very easy to read. I have an English degree, I have read quite a bit of classics, and this does not require much in the way of interpreting vocabulary and making your way through unfamiliar syntax, which is word order and diction, word choice. I am able to just dive right into the character journeys and the story that's playing out. It very much reads like your classic adventure story, so I'm really liking that. I like that there's not a lot of complicated language that I'm having to sift through, which makes it, again, perfect for a morning reading session. So let's get to it. initial thoughts midway through my reading for today. I am so disgusted with Danglars and Fernand, even Caderousse, who is Edmond Dantès' neighbor and who essentially put Fernand and Danglars together, is beginning to back out and like, "Ooh, I kind of like Edmund. He hasn't really done anything wrong." He's starting to get in touch with his conscience, essentially. In order for Danglars to get this guy out of the way, he is just pouring him beverage after beverage as they sit here and essentially hash out the plot that they're going to use to get this guy sent to prison in a long-term capacity. And one of my notes was the fact that they want to send him to prison where he can languish behind stone walls, forever suffering for the loss of his entire life. At this point, he's going to lose his income, his wife. Dumas has already hinted at the beginning of the novel that his dad's health is very ill. So, like, Dantes is going to be in prison fully knowing everything that he has lost as he's on the threshold of this potentially beautiful new phase of life. And that is just so heartbreaking. So I am going to read chapter 5, which is a little bit longer than the typical chapters have been so far. Oh gosh, this book is going to absolutely break my heart. While I'm reading, I am taking notes in this very unserious journal that I got for $7 at Target. It has pickles and olives on it, and this is going to become my commonplace journal for all of my thoughts and opinions as I'm reading through this book. I finished chapter 5, which is called The Betrothal. And this was kind of the chapter where the next events of the novel are really kicking off. We start with absolute joy and happiness. Edmond Dantes is surrounded by his close colleagues and friends and family to celebrate his engagement to Mercedes, who is the woman that he has been in love with for, I think, most of his youth at this point. But as he is speaking at this engagement dinner, basically, he says, "What terrifies me is I cannot think that man is meant to find happiness so easily. Happiness is like one of those palaces on an enchanted island, its gates guarded by dragons. One must fight to gain it. And in truth, I do not know what I have done to deserve the good fortune of becoming Mercedes's husband." In a way, this little paragraph is foreshadowing for what comes on the next few pages, which literally pages later, the gendarmes come and arrest him. They do not tell him why he's being arrested. They don't even know what the charges are at this point, but he'll find out soon. And the chapter ends with Fernand and Danglars, who have arranged this plot against him, pretending to not know anything that's going on. Meanwhile, Mercedes and Edmond Dantès' father are catatonic with fear and terror as to what is going to happen next. The ship, the Pharaon, which is the one that Edmond Dantès was about to become captain of, but obviously now that he's been arrested, the ship is captainless. I wonder who's going to take that role. Obviously, Danglars has machinations that he would like to become captain and has gotten rid of Edmund to make that a possible reality. Fernand wants to make Mercedes believe that Edmund is never going to be a reality for her. Can't kill Edmund because he'll lose her in the process. And it's interesting how, in an attempt to get what he wants, We really see Fernand's heart. We see his character motivation. He is narcissistically jealous of Edmund and really only seems to want to possess Mercedes because she has held him off for the majority of their lives together. The book kind of infers that they grew up together. They're both Catalans, which is a cultural group from Spain that came over and have settled in the Marseille area. And so there's a lot of just jealousy and insecurity and hatred and fury spewing around these characters. And unfortunately for Edmond Dantes, he is on the receiving end of all of this humanity, unfortunately. The Count of Monte Cristo asks us questions about transformation and justice and obsession and what we are capable of becoming under the right or wrong set of circumstances. And these are not literary questions, but they're human ones. And so far, The Count of Monte Cristo is really reminding me of how I felt the first time when I was reading Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And you're sitting with these characters who are going through the worst of trials that humans face, right? Poverty, death, pain, grief, betrayal, deception, wrongful imprisonment. And these questions of justice immediately being the main method through which, in this case, Alexandre Dumas is exploring this narrative is so engaging. I just want to read this book. All in all, I'm really enjoying this book so far. I kind of feel a little guilty that I've been intimidated by the size. This is a chonker of a novel. Obviously, we can see this. But I bought this at the beginning of the year, really wanting to read it. And I'm super glad that I found this book club because I think reading this with a group of people where you can discuss your thoughts and are encouraged to take notes and really dive in that holistic way that I mentioned earlier is really helping me navigate this book. Again, on top of the fact that this is a genuinely very easy book to read in terms of the language on the page. So I am with this book for the next 1,200 pages. You will certainly hear more thoughts from me where this novel is concerned. If you've read The Count of Monte Cristo, I would love to know what your experience was with the novel.